Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Design Make and Play. I'm Carla Vecino, host today. In our interview segment, we have a really interesting teacher. He is Jason Collinge. He is going to talk about rumors of the fictive art. What it is, we'll let you know right now. Thank you, Jason, for being today here in our show. Jason, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, I'm originally from Saskatchewan, and I've graduated from about 5 different universities, attended and graduated throughout 3 in Canada, 1 in Japan, and 1 in Australia, and a number of different colleges. So yeah, I have a background in writing, literature, and art is my major focus. Family man. I had 2 kids, and I've been teaching in the Lower Mainland here for about 20 years now, teaching English as a second language.
What moves you just to work in that area, in teaching and ESL students mostly?
Well, teaching, I've always wanted to help other people, and I had a passion for teaching when I started in high school. I decided to become a teacher back then. And in a roundabout way, I became an ESL teacher. And one of the reasons I stuck with ESL is because most of the students that take ESL classes actually have a reason for studying, and they have a purpose, a goal to get to, and I can help them reach that goal. And that's why. And I have a good day when somebody says, I got it, or they get that little bit closer to reaching their goal.
I see. Yeah. What has been the most challenging situation that you have faced when you start in that teaching area?
When I first started,
Yes.
just building up a bank of classroom activities that I could rely on when there was only a few minutes left of class, or something to engage the students, because not all the material that we have to cover is very interesting all the time. Some of it's grammar based, and as we all know, grammar can be very dry.
I know that.
Yeah, grammar, vocabulary, that's all dry, but if there's any way we could spice it up, one of the main things about teaching a language is it's very fluid. It's not like there's a correct answer every time. It's not the same answer every time. So you have to be flexible in the answers that you receive, because there are many ways to say the same thing. But also on top of that, we have a different dynamic in the class. For example, if you're in grade school, there's a lot of teacher-student dynamic. If you're in university, there's a professor or doctor and student. And it's like suit and tie as opposed to jeans and t-shirt. Whereas in the ESL industry, we're kind of caught between the two. It's already making the students too nervous to even speak or try to speak because they're afraid of making mistakes. So we do a number of different things. For example, we use our first names instead of sir or ma'am or teacher or professor or doctor. We use our first names, get on a first name basis. We go to their desks, we sit at their desks or kneel beside their desks or squat down, and we allow coffee or tea in the classroom because most of our students are adults or close to it, or even people that are in there. Well, my oldest was about 70 or 80. Yeah, I had an 82-year-old woman and a 73-year-old man at different times, and I've taught everywhere from 1-year-old to that, and just different dynamics. But creating a relaxing classroom atmosphere is one of the hardest things to do. So one of the things we don't do is we don't wear suit and tie all the time. I wear a nice shirt, but I don't wear a tie. Carry a coffee with me to the desk, so sit down and have a coffee with the student, and it really puts the student at ease. It's more like asking a friend for help, and then they're more engendered to ask a question or to feel like they can ask you a question.
Jason, you mentioned something quite interesting. A lot of them are characteristics, like some teachers they have, right? What about those skills, soft skills that you need just to develop, just to be able to move from, as you said, from kids 1 year old to adults like 80, 90, like it's kind of impressive.
Well, the whole dynamic of how you approach a class, each class is different. It doesn't matter if the students are close to the same age or exactly the same age. They're all coming from different areas. So it's a matter of reaching the student themselves and finding out what motivates them, bringing that into the classroom, which is part of the reason why storytelling and drawing and writing skills and that whole communication end of things is so important in that respect. But also just finding out what makes them tick. So on my first day of every class, I find out a little bit about each student. I try to get students to communicate with each other, to connect with each other. If they have a similar goal or a similar interest, I try to get them to connect so that they know that they can ask somebody in the classroom other than me for help, so that they're not alone. Because a lot of them are coming from overseas, and this is their first trip. For many of them, first time away from home. Everything is new. They're with a new family with a homestay, or they're in a hotel. They're all alone by themselves. They're just lost. And I know because as part of my training, I had to actually have that experience under my belt before they would even take me into the program at one of the colleges here in Vancouver. So I had to be a student, an ESL student, or in this case, for my case, a JSL, a Japanese second language student, and I had to live overseas and experience what they experience.
Yeah.
So I did that.
And how was it?
I would do it again in a heartbeat if I.
Oh, really?
It was one of the best experiences of my life. Challenging. I went. I didn't understand any of the language when I went. Everything kind of happened really quickly, and before I knew it, I was on the plane, and I got off the plane, and I realized I don't have any money. I had to go and find an ATM. I spent time on the plane trying to figure out how to ask where an ATM machine was and try to get money from an ATM machine, and then listen very, very carefully to the answers that I was given and try to find it. I did. I managed.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's quite similar to what happened. Yeah, that is what they say, right?
Yeah. I was on scholarship. I didn't have money for plane fare back. So I was there for a year. If I wanted to come back, I had to swim.
Yeah, that is the. I think that is the main idea. Just try it and try.
It's the same for everybody. Same for everybody that tries this, especially when they coming to a country that they don't understand the language in, and they have to adapt. And the best thing they can do is make friends and find that support group within the school is one of the best. Having a good agency is also good, a supportive agency, but not all agencies are supportive. I know a few that are and a few that aren't. But yeah, it depends also on the teachers. A big reliance on teachers.
Yeah, it is true. But Jason, going back a little bit more of the teaching and instructive part.
Sure.
Could you just tell me how much the teaching, the classes, the communication with students have changed since COVID start?
Oh, COVID has been a major player in the dynamics of the classroom. First thing, my school was one of the first to go online. We went online in about, well, we got the phone call or the notice on the Sunday night to come in on Monday morning at 9:30 for training. Tuesday we were in classes. We were running classes.
Wow.
So we shortened our class day to 9 to 12 and then 1 to 2. So we still have a 1 hour break in the middle, and everything went online. And we finished off that session, and then we started a new session, and everything's online. So we had digital, we had some, digital books. We also had, I had books that were hard copies as well. So I could share screens using Zoom. They tried Teams. They found for our purposes, Zoom worked better for sharing screens and stuff. So we used that. But there was my first month, a lot of the students didn't even get out of their pajamas. It was, and they were just crushed. They were crushed. Yeah. And it took another month before we got them to turn on their videos on a regular basis and really, really, really interact with the class. But even then, it's not the same as being in person. and having the physicality of being able to move pieces like on a game board or get up and go around the classroom and change partners and stuff like that. You can't do that on Zoom. You can do a little bit of it in the chat rooms, but there are limitations. I mean, they're good things. I mean, you could share with everybody at the same time and break into chat rooms and have private conversations. But at the same time, it's not the same as being in the real world with somebody. So that there's kind of that distance in the human factor, right? So that, and, you know, just the material that we had, trying to find all of it online, and a lot of teachers were left hanging because they didn't have a lot of their stuff digitized. Luckily, for years, I've always digitized mine. I've taken the time to type it in. So I have manuals and manuals, 100 pages long, each of them, and I can go through and share screens and send files, but a lot of teachers didn't have that. And that's a struggle to get the information to them and then have them be able to respond. The other thing is that they had technical issues.
Yeah.
Not only technical issues with Zoom, but also technical issues on the part of the students and their equipment and their Wi-Fi connections and their ability to use technology. You'd think in this day and age that everybody could. It's not the case. I still have people that they can't even open up a simple app and find their way to the second page, right? So even if it's in their first language, they still have trouble, and they're just not technically savvy. And we take it for granted, but some of these people, they come here and the first time to use a computer or their first time to have to rely on this kind of technology, and it's a bit daunting for a lot of them. So that's one of the major players. Used to be we didn't allow cell phones in the classroom except to look up words. Now cell phones are everywhere, and we're having to use this medium. So it was coming at some point, but it's now a staple in the field of language learning or even distance learning.
Yeah, now it's part of our lives, right? That transition was in a blink of an eye, and I believe
literally overnight for us.
Yes, totally. I think for everyone was in that way. Now, moving a little bit to another topic. I know that you have a really, really cool source for all of us who, I say for all of us because I really like storytelling and writing. And could you just tell us a little bit about that project? I found that one fantastic because you just teach us how to write, but also how to develop characters. And also you spend the time drawing. So could you just tell us a little bit of that? I think it's just fantastic.
I think you're referring to Rumours of the Fictive Art.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. What I'm doing now, this came about from a podcasting project that we were looking to launch, teaching students how to do podcasting while learning language. So another kind of way we couch language learning into something that's applicable to the real world. Storytelling is one of the elements that I've been working on, and so it just segued into this. We had folktale storytelling, then we had radio drama, we had a publishing forum where we would do writing and publish it. This one was started by a podcast idea, and although COVID put the brakes on it early, I was starting to get things going on my end to try to get some momentum so that when the class did start, they would have something to go to. So I've got on Facebook, Rumours of the Fictive Art. That's RUMOURS of the Fictive Art. And I've got a webpage by the same name. And it showcases some of the work that I've done as well, my artwork, my writing, and some of the story work that we're doing. On Rumours of the Fictive Art, just really a lot of people don't know what fictive art is. Rumors meaning stories, but fictive art is the practice that involves the production of objects, events, entities, designs, characters, sound effects, really props, anything that can be used to support the plausibility of a narrative, a central narrative. So There are guys like Gary Hecker out there who's one of the top guys in creating sound effects. There are other guys like Guy Sklanders, who does Dungeons and Dragons, and of course, everybody knows Matt Mercer of the same vein. They do voice acting and do characters with their voices, sound effects with their voices. There are so many different ways to add another layer of believability to the story. My end is usually with the drawings and the art. So I do that, but I also try to do some sound effects and some accents and whatnot. One of the main things with the accents is you never try to be a perfect imitation of the accent that you're imitating, because if you do, somebody's going to be offended. So you create a character, especially if it's in a fictional world, it can be have elements of a certain language accent, but I would never try to imitate and say this is a definitive French or German or Japanese accent, because unless you're from the country, you'll never get it right.
Totally.
In my opinion. But you can get close. You can get close.
Totally.
But, yeah.
We're run of time. We are run of time. But Jason, what do you recommend to people who want just to start creating skills and with storytelling and drama? What would be your recommendation for all of them?
I have a couple. First one, there are many videos. If you take information that way online, you can look up there. Many articles have been written online, and I share a lot of them. I try to keep them centrally focused on different topics through Rumours of the Fictive Art. But you can look them up there. There's an IDEA, which is IDEA, which is a bank of accents. But the main thing I suggest for people that want to stimulate kids or stimulate themselves is to do something every day that's creative. The more often, the better. So if you're drawing, draw every day, or at least 5-10 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, whatever you have time for. You could take a camera out, go take pictures around outside, and come back. You'd be surprised at the beauty of your city, especially if you do close-ups and distance shots, and kind of go back and forth, do a narrative that way. You write poetry. The more you do it, the better. Read a book. I mean, just read and then try and tell a story. Try and tell it and get somebody else enthused about it by summarizing the story and saying you need to read this book because it's about blah blah blah. Those are all creative ways to help you out and just keep going. The worst thing you can do is just stop. If you keep going steadily, that's when you'll improve. And if you keep doing it when you're tired, if you're tired of doing it or you want to take a break, that's actually the day that you're going to have a breakthrough. So when you're tired, go to school, study that day, because that's the day that you're going to level up.
Yeah.
If you're tired and you don't want to draw that day, draw that day. That's probably, fight through it, because you know what? That's probably going to be the time when you're going to have a major breakthrough and find a new way to do things.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Jason, for being here, and hopefully we can just have another show and maybe talk another topic.
I would really appreciate that. Thank you for having me. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.